Willow is a crop that is recognised for being native and particularly suited to the Irish climate. Miscanthus is also an energy crop and one that offers great potential for Ireland. Still relatively new, not many people know what it looks like or what its main properties are. It grows well in Ireland and produces a lot of energy.
In about 2000 we diversified from dairy farming and cereal production into energy crops. There are two types of energy crops used in Northern Ireland. There is short rotation willow coppice and there's also miscanthus grass. The main advantages of the miscanthus grass is that conventional machinery harvests the crop every year. You don't have to wait for 2 or 3 years to get a harvest. With the willows you need to have specialist equipment and drying facilities. Willow, it is a non-food crop. It never ends up in the food chain, which means you can dispose of slurries or effluents onto that, which can boost your income. Whereas the miscanthus grass does not respond to any slurries or effluents or fertilisers. It's taking all its nutrients from the air. So one cancels the other out basically. One is as good as the other, but at the moment there's no financial support to plant miscanthus grass, which makes the willow more attractive. The willow market is usually the biomass industry for district heating schemes, commercial installations such as schools, hospitals, building developments, all can currently utilise the wood chips. The advantages are there's over 90% less CO2 emissions emitted when burning biomass fuel as opposed to conventional oil or gas systems. It's a locally produced fuel which is available locally, it's not being imported, so global incidents or international crisis don't affect the actual price of it. Pricing can be fixed on a 5 or 10 year contract, which is a much more stable pricing structure, and it's obviously working out cheaper both environmentally wise and financially wise for the consumers to use biomass as conventional oil or gas heating systems. To grow willow is very simple. You just prepare the ground as for any crop, that is ploughing the ground and breaking the soil down. There's an automatic planter comes in and plants the willow, and then after the first year the willow has to be cut back. It grows as a single shoot and that is coppiced off with traditional mower, and that encourages the crop then to coppice out with 6 or 8 shoots. It then grows for a further 2 or 3 years and is then harvested. It is a native species to Ireland. It will virtually grow on any ground. Obviously the more fertile the soil, the better the crop will be. Ideally below 100 metres above sea level and on ground that is not prone to being waterlogged, as the equipment goes on in early spring to harvest the crop. So you don't want to have fields that are prone to waterlogging. But most standard agricultural ground is suitable for willows. When the leaves die off in the autumn time, they form a mulch on the ground which rots the next year, which feeds the plant for the next year. So nutrient requirement is fairly low. The only other cost in the first year would be a chemical spray to control weeds in first year establishment. Other than that, there's no feeding or nutrient requirement for willow trees. The willow is processed from the field by a direct cut harvester, which chops the willow up into small chips. The harvester is a modified self-propelled silage harvester, which basically has a pickup reel on the front with 2 big saw blades. They're cutting the rows of willow and they're pulling them in stumps first into the chopping box, and then that's blown into the silage trailers, which then transport the crop into the silo where it is pushed up in a uniform shape in the silo where the fans are forcing hot air up through the crop. The willow is traditionally harvested around 50–55% moisture content. It has to be dried down to below 20% moisture to stop decomposing and molds and fungus growing in the wet timber. This will take about 4 to 6 weeks to dry the full stack of fresh cut willow chips. Once that drying takes place, the stack will stay at below 20%, and that can be sold throughout the year. The biomass industry in Northern Ireland is a relatively new enterprise, although it is widely used on the continent. In Northern Ireland, it's a major step. You're tying your ground up. Once you plant the crop, you have to be prepared to be in it for 5 or 10 years. The crop will not get you a return on your initial investment until after year 5. That is basically 2 harvests. Traditionally, Northern Ireland imported about 98% of its energy requirements in coal, oil and gas. This industry is giving us a chance to produce a local fuel that we're not relying on imports for our industry and domestic homes.